In the early morning hours of the 1st of October 1940, heavy Russian artillery fire began pounding enemy positions along the whole line of contact in the Krychev-Bryansk sector. The 8th Army under General Drozdovsky, which had spent the past months refitting and preparing, had begun their attack as part of the Autumn Offensive, the nickname given by the troops for the culmination of Phase 2 of Operation Yekaterina. The enemy lines were held by a mixture of Austrian, Polish, Ukrainian and Lithuanian divisions and lacked any serious fortification. The shelling took them by surprise, as no attack had materialized in months, and high explosive shells turned trees into deadly shrapnel. When the guns went silent, Russian assault troops quickly infiltrated the stunned defenders, and the cohesion of their command, strenuous at best to begin with, crumbled rapidly. The speed of the offensive surprised even the Russian High Command, and less than 2 weeks later, the enemy had been completely overrun in the sector, and front lines had been pushed towards the approaches of the Ukrainian capital. General Stephan's famous 6th had decisively defeated the Austrian mechanized 15th Army, and Sternberg's veteran 5th had broken out from Vitebsk, bypassing the heavy fortifications on the left bank of the Daugava, and secured Minsk and Vilnius within days. The demoralized enemy was in complete disarray. The advances have indeed been so rapid that we're having trouble actually manning the front lines at this point. So it's time for a little reorganization, and it's also time to let the supply catch up and the combat engineers to build the railways up, repair damage, convert gauges and transferring stations, and get the trains to the lines. So we will have the 9th Army holding basically the whole open front in the northern sector, but they will just be. It's a relatively large army, but they'll mostly be holding the positions, while we'll be relocating Sternberg's 5th towards an attack against Mogilev. And we'll be bringing in the 11th Army from the Baltics, which is going to become the offensive, force into Lithuania. So the attempt now will be to capture the enemy capitals. In the south, we'll be sending, of course, Stephan's 6th Army against Kiev. And we'll see if we can manage to get the Belarus and Ukraine to capitulate rapidly before we push any further into enemy territory. And obviously Romania is now breaking through the lines here as well in the south. So there's a bit of a race going on at this point, almost to say. Now Italy is still holding Venice with apparently massive amounts of troops to ensure that the city doesn't fall. But Bologna and Milan are under heavy enemy bombardment, and in France, despite the initial successes, it seems that the French have found a defensive line south of Reims, managing to anchor in Dijon and Paris, and giving the Germans a relatively hard time to overwhelm the French defenders there. The Entente, meanwhile, isn't really making any breakthroughs either, but the Germans apparently have gotten wise of our submarine operations and have begun hunting our submarines. So we're starting to see enemy ships coming in, and while we're still effective in sinking enemy convoys and strangulating their economy and troop transports, we'll have to see how much of the German Navy will be deployed into the Atlantic. They probably, once they have port access via Nantes and Brest, we might see more actual convoy escorts getting out into the Atlantic, and the happy times for the submarines might then be over. But we will see about that. Now, Air Force. We have concentrated most of the Air Force still over the Ukrainian air zone, but there aren't many enemy fighters left in the theaters. So I think what we can do is we can begin grounding a few of the fighter wings. because we have such an overwhelming superiority that there's really no need anymore for that many. And that'll somewhat reduce the amount of losses we have from regular operations. So if we're looking, we've got almost 100 fighters in stock, but of course these are going to be older models. Yeah, it's mostly I-5s and I-15s, so old biplanes. They're good for trainers, but not much else. Whereas what we're looking for is to get the I-180s and I-185s onto the front lines in larger numbers, and for that, somebody mentioned in the comments we need more military factories. Yes, we are building. We are rapidly building more military factories as well as more synthetic refineries to secure the rubber production for an increased number of aircraft. So a slight digestion phase on the enemy side. We can probably, since we're here, we'll just do a rapid assault here to secure that spearhead. I do realize that the enemy fronts are still open, but we do have to ensure that supply actually comes in at this point. And in the south, we do hold all the necessary supply positions, and we'll give the infantry some rest, as we are starting to run low on support equipment and on anti-air again. And also the tank divisions are severely running low on tanks. So once Ukraine and Belarus have been capitulated, and we have pushed the front lines towards Greater Austria, and then potentially just Lithuania and the United Baltic Duchy, we definitely need to give the 6th Army some rest. Most of their divisions are still on the old template, and that is quite a difference. So if we were having a quick look at, so that's the old division template. That is a 16 width light tank, whereas the newer one is a 24 width light tank division with significantly better equipment and outfit. Although they are lacking artillery, but they're still quite capable as they are. But yeah, they will need some refits. We will need to bring production back up for the final battle against the German Empire itself, who is still busy fighting the Commune of France, but seems to have gotten somewhat stuck over there. In other theaters around the world, we might also divert, after this phase 2 of Operation Yekaterina is done, we might divert some tanks south to assist the Persians with their battle against Egypt, because they seem to be not getting anywhere whatsoever here. So they have surprisingly few divisions in the area. I have honestly no idea where they all are, but yeah. They seem to not be particularly keen to finishing to moving on to Cairo. They're holding. They have crossed the Suez and they are holding a position, but other than that, not much has been happening there. Greece and Serbia are also still fighting each other, which means that there's no impact from our side. And the United States of America are quiet, and we haven't seen much from the Entente, to be honest. I would have expected the French Republic, especially that they are holding Corsica. I would have expected them to launch assaults into the south of France, for example, but no sign yet of troop movements. And Finland is starting to have trouble with the Norwegians. So Finnish troops seem to have been overrun by the Norwegian Socialist Republic in the north, and we may have to send assistance. But of course that would be contingent on Finland actually joining the Moscow Accord, and so far there seems to be no particular interest on their side. So we shall see about that. The big question of India, of the Indian Federation, is still open, and we may have to spend some time in foreign policies to try to get the Indian Federation on our side. But at the same time, we also have significant need of improving our air service for the upcoming war against the German Air Force. Because right now we're we're having a honeymoon period where the German Air Force is completely absent. So I think there are a few that we really could use here. These are just variants mostly, but there's a few: mission efficiency, their doctrinal support, and all kinds of good things that will help us qualitatively against the numerical superiority of the German Air Force that we're not going to catch up with anytime soon. So there's that. Anyway, for now, we'll realign things. We do have to begin decrypting, and I think we will be starting to work. Mostly we're facing the Austrians probably at the time being. So we'll actually start with the Austrian cipher. But this is obviously going to take a while. So, very new department and new things to be going. So right now we've got one agent forced into hiding. The other one's still in Kiev and is building up some intelligence behind the lines for the upcoming assault, but he will be relocated relatively soon. But don't know if and when we are getting him back because he has been found and has been followed everywhere. So we'll try to preserve Russian manpower and equipment and reduce casualties. So for that we'll be moving the special forces for the attack against Moilev, and we may actually bring we're bringing the railway guns, the second railway artillery there, whereas the other one can get closer for the armored assault towards Kiev. Right, State Aviation Directorate is complete, which gives us production cost reduction, and that should improve the. Yeah, we're now at 3.26 a day. So we're starting to get up there with the fighter production. And now we do have a decision as well. Let me have a quick look what that is. We have, where is it? Okay, we can convert civilian aviation industries. We get, we convert some civilian into military factories, basically. Yeah, not at the moment. I think we have more use. We still have to fill up one position in the military high command. We have more use for the political power to do that. And we can also still get an industrial concern, which could be quite useful. So, should we make a political advance into Central Asia? Well, Afghanistan definitely makes sense because we're directly bordering on Afghanistan. So let's begin with that and make sure that Afghanistan, the last refuge of the bandits, is dealt with, and we can either invade or invite Afghanistan, although we don't currently have any troops to fight on that front. Luckily for us, the Japanese have not decided to for imperial aggression in the Pacific against us, because that would have severely curtailed the amount of troops that we have available. But at the same time, Japan is also not making any inroads into China at this point. So as long as they're stuck there, that is good. But if any of the we may need some troops. The Khanate is not in any particular faction. So if any of these countries decides that this is a good time to push into Russia, we have fairly little troops in the central area to actually deal with them. So we may actually at some point need just some simple security divisions to make sure that these lines are secure here, because right now we are awfully exposed in that regard. So I think we can just create a few simple divisions. These should be sufficient, and we'll do that on low priority, and we'll create basically a field army of just regular infantry divisions just to secure central Russia in case of any kind of contingency. And we might as well actually, now that we're starting to see Norwegians, we do have to divert some troops north here, to be honest. So maybe what we can do is we can split off the regulars of Witkowski's 11th Army for now, because we don't think we need all that many of them. So the road here is relatively open, and or at least let's get 5 divisions and position them along the lines here, just to ensure that that we're dealing with the Norwegian situation and gaining control there, or maintaining control there, rather than having other kinds of trouble. We're still getting a few guards divisions going to be deployed from training into the regular areas. Okay, so that's all underway. Troops are moving into position, and the tanks are moving into position here as well to get ready for the assault against Kiev. A French submarine that was defending some convoys has reported contact with the enemy. So we have actually seen the German fleet in the north, the High Seas fleet in the North Sea, with a total of 8 battleships, 2 of them more modern, 14 light cruisers, most of them from the Weltkrieg, but a few modern cruisers as well, a large number of modern destroyers, and enemy submarines as well. So I think the German High Seas fleet is still a significant threat to us. And I do actually have to make sure we're not sending. What are we sending here? That's okay. That's trade. We should be able to send that through the northern routes. So I'm going to block naval access here again, just to make sure that the trade routes are going around elsewhere, and by land if possible to the north, rather than by sea routes. All right. The reports from the French submarine have managed to bring out the British home fleet after the sightings of the Germans. They have come out in force, and I think overall they have brought the slightly superior force here. So we will see. I think that the German ships are in retreat, but let's observe the outcome of this particular naval battle. We've got most. This is all Weltkrieg, Nelson's Royal Oak and Valiant. This is all older. Yeah, so they're older battleships from the Weltkrieg, and the Germans are having the Scharnhorst here, as well as the Gneisenau, the two improved battle cruisers. The rest is also older shipping. It looks like the Germans are actually on the retreat. None of their heavies, some of their heavy ships have taken some hits, mostly by the big guns, whereas the British as well have taken some damage. So it looks relatively equal right now. But I think the bigger problem is the screening groups, because the German destroyers are getting absolutely obliterated by the British light cruisers, and with that, the heavy ships will have to disengage and make their way out of there. And that, of course, leaves the screening groups very, very vulnerable to mopping up actions by the enemy light forces, which then in return severely reduces the combat effectiveness of the fleet as a whole. Because even though the capital ships have gotten away with minor damage, so far the Germans have lost 16 destroyers on the retreat. And we will see how high that number goes before they can make their way out of the theater. And I would say that is, despite some British ships having taken heavy damage, mostly a significant British victory here. And the German screening forces have taken significant losses. I think in the end it was something like 26 German destroyers have been sunk. So despite the fact that the British have taken quite some damage, I think Admiral Drax has led his navy well here. and has managed to inflict a defeat against the Germans in the North Sea, against the High Seas Fleet. Meanwhile, we have the tank forces in theater for the assault towards Kiev. So we'll begin. 6th Army is going to begin attacks immediately, and we are going to get both. We're going to get both groups attacking simultaneously against the Austrian forces. There are some fortifications here, but so I think we might actually divert. We'll divert 2 from this side. Three tank divisions. So we've got the 1st, the 2nd, and the 7th are going to support on the western side, and the rest of it is going to crash through the Austrian fortifications and then make their way into Kiev. We've got more news from the Atlantic, where we are still sinking convoys unmolested, and Nantes has fallen, and Angers has fallen. Oh, and Dijon has fallen. So significant breakthroughs by the Germans in the French lines. It seems that the air situation, has reached an overwhelming point where the German Air Force is inflicting significant damage on the French, and with Nantes now under German control, I think Brest is about to fall, and that means we're going to probably see German convoy escorts in the Atlantic, although they have just lost a lot of them. Here still no changes on the Italian front. Bologna and Milan are still under heavy bombardment, and not much of a change on the Austrian side as well. For now, Austria seems to be holding, although they are losing a lot of troops here on the Ukrainian front. Republic of Bulgaria. Yes, I'm happy to sign a non-aggression pact for now. Eastern Europe liberation is what we're here for, and the troops here are still organizing the new front lines. So we'll focus on the battle in the south, where the tanks are crushing into the enemy, who has some capability of breaking our armor, but not enough to stop the light tanks. That said, I think we've still got some of the older light tank variants around, and we're probably still. Actually, are we researching a new light tank variant? No, we're doing the super heavies. There is, I think, the Astrov series of light tank. It might be worth. The light tanks have really been serving as well. It might be worth actually investing into that to modernize Stefan's tank divisions for the fast lights, but that comes at a later point. So for now, we'll be breaking through the enemy positions here, and we do have aerial superiority. But what we're lacking are bomber craft. So that is another thing that we need to get to with our production. Once we're through this block here, then this is going to become more relevant. But for now, the first tank divisions are breaking through, and the first group is making their way towards Kiev. Some Ukrainian defenders have jumped into the fray. We get the infantry to support. From here, can we? No, we can't. But they've got the heavy guns to smash the fortifications. That's why we had the railway artillery here. So fortifications have been broken through. Oh, we're actually on 1 speed. That's why. Fortifications have been broken through, and the 5th Army is starting to come into position. They do have a railway battery here as well, so we'll give them some time. We do keep an eye on the naval battles just to see what forces are in the theater. So we're definitely having a few destroyers, and this is a Dutch. That's a Dutch light cruiser here in the area as well. But still nothing significant, so convoys are still falling, but we have to keep an eye. If we start taking significant submarine losses, then that is obviously problematic. Supply lines should range up to Kiev without problems after we've got the Cherkasy supply position, and we can We'll assist here with the other flank, while the rest of the tanks is using the momentum to break through towards Kiev. We have a fair amount of infantry here as well, so I think what we'll do is we'll launch an infantry assault at the same time with some 8th Army troops here under Drozdowski, and we'll threaten Kiev from that side then as well, whereas the tank divisions are the main charge and the armored spearhead. And I think the completely disorganized Austrians at this point are going to struggle stopping us from breaking through towards Kiev. There is a relatively large number of forces, so we'll provide some supporting fire from across the river. We can't bring the railway artillery any further, but Kiev has fallen. The 1st, 4th and 6th mechanized have completely broken through the Ukrainian-Austrian defenders. And bad news for the Ukrainian state today, as the Russian army has just completed its assault upon the ancient capital. While initial reports suggested the Ukrainian defenders would be able to hold them at the bridges in a protracted siege, the many avenues over the river proved too much to hold. With Russian troops on either side of the river and scattered defenders surrendering on the isles, Kiev has fallen to the invaders. With the thriving hub now in Russian hands, the rest of Ukrainian lands are in jeopardy. While the Russian Empire has promised to respect the 700 years of history built up since the Mongols destroyed it in 1240, Kievan memory is long. Invasions have never been kind to them, and they fear the worst. Now, we are of course not inclined to cause general havoc here, but instead we're just securing the lines. The much bigger question is now. Ukraine is going to capitulate, I believe. So these Austrian troops in Ukraine are going to be stranded, and we'll begin mop-up operations with infantry shortly, because I think Ukraine is going to capitulate. There it goes. And the Ukrainian equipment has been transferred. Vladimir III has announced that the cowardly Ukrainian nation could no longer withstand the pressure from the overwhelming presence of Russian forces throughout the country. The Ukrainian government chose to flee the country and has gone into exile, and their main forces have capitulated, and the Russian Empire has now control of their home area. Which means that we're now in a cleanup mode. So a large number of enemy forces is cut off, especially Austrian forces, which means we are going to immediately begin pressuring the Austrians along the lines here, the remaining Austrians, and we will see if we can clean up the last remnants of encircled troops. The same goes for the north, where we are going to have to cut them off from any resupply here, and we'll activate troops along the whole line of contact and get everybody engaged wherever possible. All right, that should be pretty much all of them. I think that's going to be all of them. So for now, our task is to destroy the last remaining encircled divisions here. But the fall of Ukraine, I'm expecting some reserves to come in from the west, and I don't think we can immediately rush towards the Brest-Litovsk line. But first we'll have to deal with the fractured front lines. While we have nominal control over Ukraine, the situation on the ground is going to become a different one very rapidly. But that means we can now activate the second part of the plan, which is to attack the fortification in Moilev and deal with hopefully the Belarusian People's Republic the same way. And then we'll have to see where the dust is going to settle. The Tripolitanian Republic has joined the Kaiserreich. Okay, that would be Tripolitanian Republic. Okay, yeah, so that's here. well, yeah, we'll send some. We will send some troops to the desert to ensure that we have victory in Africa. That might be an important. That might be an important part going forward. But with this situation now, and these troops should not be exercising anymore. Why are they still exercising? Okay, stop that. All right, we've got the divisions in place, or we're starting to have divisions in place, and I think we have sufficient troops here now that we can begin just immediately pushing out. We're immediately pushing out the enemy defenders because there's and taking the enemy capital here because with that fracture and Ukraine capitulating. The whole front line is falling apart here. All right, we've got the land warfare factory facility in Kiev now under our control. Now I didn't know you could have more than one of these, but that's great. So we've got Petrov, Fyodor Petrov. We can assign him here, and we do have. We can research the super heavy railway guns. That's also something that I'm interested in. And he is an artillery expert, so I am interested. A colossal weapon of unmatched power and precision that will stand as a testament of the military superiority of any country capable of deploying it. So yes, please. I'm not sure why that's a tank module, but. I wouldn't mind fitting one of these things onto a super heavy tank. So, well, we're definitely going for that. That is actually taking a fair amount of resources. However, resources is something that we're not short of. So, aluminium might become interesting at some point. What are we currently on? We are on limited exports. Yeah, that's fine. So. That's that. All right, we've got. We'll start the assault here while cleaning up the enemy positions everywhere else, and we've got some infantry that can lend assistance across from the river. More trouble off the Iberian coast. The Germans have lost another destroyer here. It looks like we had some British. The British are coming in to defend now in the open Atlantic, and that means that enemy convoys and enemy troop support and enemy trade across the Atlantic is severely curtailed. So if the German Navy is not going to be able to challenge the British at sea, they're going to have a massive problem. Brest still stands, Paris still stands, but Dijon has fallen. So with that line cracked, France is rapidly disintegrating. Bergamo has fallen, but Bologna still stands, and Venice itself still stands as well. Belgrade still holds, and I think the Romanians might actually be making progress here towards the Austrian states. All right. For now, we're more interested here in wiping out the remaining Austrian troops and eventually securing the lines at the front. Actually, we might help. No, we'll be fine here. And then we'll have to deploy. We'll have to rapidly redeploy troops. So we'll try to complete the assault here against Mogilev in as quickly as we can in order to see if we can capitulate the Belarusian Republic as well. We may as well. No, that's. We'll see if we can. Yeah, okay, we actually have troops here. So we are cutting off enemy territory. The Georgians are making advances here as they are wont to. And given the complete absence of troops in the north, we are actually pushing into the Lithuanian lands quite successfully as well. All right, here we just need to clear out the remaining positions. This might be a little ambitious. We bring additional troops in, but I think these are getting cleared up quite quickly. And we do have Austrians breaking through to Romania, I think, from now. So we will see how that goes. But we have managed to catch a few more Austrian divisions off guard. And I think then we can begin redeploying the Second Army under Casagrande towards the Ukrainian front. The Belarusian People's Republic has now been completely cut off from supply. And in one of the largest encirclements, however, I'm actually going to delete the front lines here because I don't want troops to start moving around everywhere. What we can do is to get Kanzin's 7th Army to begin redeploying towards Brest-Litovsk and then hold the northern flank here. So we're going to get the complete 7th Army, which is in part busy with cleanup operations, but I'm going to give them the orders for the northern line here and to hold positions, and the southern part can be taken on by other troops. Okay, so with that, we're rapidly redeploying now. How is the advance here going? We're not breaking through into. We're not breaking the enemy German defense. Oh, there is some German infantry. That's why we're not getting anywhere. So there is some German infantry remaining there, and we've got the 8th Army now without purpose. So we will be redeploying the 8th Army along the lines of. We're redeploying the 8th Army along the lines of the Belarusian People's Republic to deal with the last remnants of enemy resistance, and we've got the 6th Army, which can deal with that pesky situation here. So let's deploy them here. 6th Army will take out the last Ukrainian resistance here, and in the north we are getting close to. We might leave one division behind. We're getting close to taking Kaunas actually, and we will see what the impact of that is on the Kingdom of Lithuania. But it looks like the eastern positions have fallen quite rapidly. Now, how is it looking in the north? Okay, it looks like troops have arrived, but they do need to start organizing themselves. And then we'll begin assaults into Norway to relieve the Finnish and assist with pushing back the Norwegians from any kind of incursion. In France, they're making inroads towards Brest, but Paris is still standing. How far is France from capitulation? That is more. France is still standing quite firmly, and the Italians are still standing as well. So front lines static, but the Serbians, I think, at this point are starting to push back against Greater Austria. So I'm not sure what the chaos here in the Romanian front lines is all about, but the Austrians have taken significant losses, painful losses indeed. If we total that up, we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, about 120,000 German and Austrian prisoners of war taken once more, and significant changes in the front lines with the rapid collapse of the eastern states. We have unassigned divisions. I am not entirely certain where they were supposed to go. Who needs divisions? We have Witkowski, who is mostly deployed with the 11th Army. I'm not sure why we have so many. We've got. We just needed 2 actually. So let's supply 2 divisions to that group. And I think what we'll do is we'll take the rest, convert them into anti-tank divisions, and assign them to the 12th Army. There we go. Now they are obviously short on equipment as usual, but the equipment situation is something we are going to need to sort out before taking on Germany proper, because that is going to become rather dire otherwise. All right, many changes on the lines here, and a few more Austrian divisions to clean up. So let's see if we can. But let's see first if we can get the Belarusians to capitulate. That would be of great effect. We'll bring in supporting fire. But I think the last defenders of Mogilev has fallen, and with that, no, they're still standing. So they decided to fight on, but their capital of Pinsk is completely open. So we will be taking enemy territory. We'll simply be advancing into enemy territory here, without unless we are obviously getting counterattacked. But we will be simply advancing into enemy territory where necessary. Cavity magnetron has been researched. That is the radar station level 2, which is great. Advanced radio still whiles off, but better radar would be something. We don't have the rubber or the industrial capacity for half trucks at this point, so we'll leave that as is. Advanced recon, this is still all ahead of time. We could do the Astrov series. We have we're pretty much on time here with things. Alternatively, what we could do is divert. Do we have any? Oh, I wanted to do these and the excavation texts. No, we wanted to do the advanced rubber processing. That's the one we need. Okay, and then I might actually divert some into naval research as well at some point. But for now, we are. I think we can start ignoring the convoy raiding missions. It's just we're quite successful there in the in the Atlantic. All right, so that front line needs to go, and we need to begin redeploying the Second Army under Casagrande towards their new line of contact here, which is going to be this one. So Second Army bringing them to the front lines. And here we are simply we're simply moving into enemy territory here, wherever contingent after the capital has fallen, and we'll try to. They're abandoning the fortifications. They're abandoning the fortifications here. So I think there's not an awful lot that they are still going to be capable of doing. So I think we'll get them to capitulate rather rapidly, and that means we've got the Lithuanian kingdom on the ropes as well. Kingdom of Lithuania is 72% towards. I believe it is. We're coming to the point where the Germans need to start deploying some troops towards the eastern border, because otherwise things are not going to go well here for them. Because we are, where did they bring the, okay, Bialystok's the new capital. So let's secure the north. Let's secure the north then. We've got the 11th Army here, and there is nobody defending the lines. So we will simply expand our area of control. And once we take Mariupol, we are actually at the German border before the end of the year. I think the whole Operation Yekaterina has gone better than even the military planners could have imagined. Let's secure the airport here in the south, and enable our aircraft to get onto the lines. But we are also in a situation where the front lines are changing so rapidly that we're going to need some time to organize everything. So obviously the Austrians are pushing us slightly back in Ukraine because we simply don't have the troops along the lines just yet. But everyone is redeploying, and we have them on these which one is this? 7th Army. Yeah, they need to be unbalanced for now as well, just to organize themselves. All right, Pinsk has fallen, and with that, I think it's not going to be long anymore. 96%. Okay, they're still resisting, and their troops are still moving. But it's currently a fluent combat situation where troops are moving along all front lines. The lines have become incohesive, and the enemy capital is going to fall to the 132nd Guards. There we go, and that I think should be the end of them. So can we avoid further bloodshed? I believe we can. And Lithuania is beginning to look significantly fractured here. So we'll get we've got more troops available here to expand our positions further towards Bialystok, and then we will need to reorganize everything. There we go. And the Belarusian People's Republic has capitulated. And again, this has left, in this case, some Polish troops behind, which need to be dealt with. So I will effect a surrender here. That should not take too long. And with every available division. And the same along the line of contact here. We need to make sure that these troops do surrender. So we'll get everybody here involved. And that should be enough. And then we'll have to... Actually, one of our divisions got cut off in Brest-Litovsk. So that's what I mean with fluent front lines. So we'll move towards re-establishing contact here. That should not be too difficult. And and here we have to just finish off the last remaining defenders. But then I think after that it comes the time where we have to begin consolidating our positions here and ensuring that the front lines are getting properly established. But this has been a massive success and I would argue that is about the end of phase 2 of Operation Yekaterina at this point. The Germans have broken through south of Nantes and Angers, and while Paris is almost encircled at this point, they are pushing into the French hinterland. So I think France is going to come under German occupation sooner rather than later. And then once France falls, I think Italy is probably going to be next as well. So it's good that we made this much progress, but we do need to consolidate the lines now and begin also thinking about potentially fortifying the front lines. Brest-Litovsk would be a good position to do that. Georgia, which is to send. No, you can manage your own. You can manage your own troops. We don't need to handle your divisions. I can ignore these for now. Feel free to organize your own troops, and it looks like the Albanians are pushing into Greece, if I'm not mistaken, or the other way around. We shall see. But the Balkans is going to remain an interesting point of contention. The Central Asian situation as well. We'll see if we can get. We will see how the India situation will change, and in the east, not much is happening on the side of Japan yet. So stalemate in the battle against China, and Japan is busy fighting the Germans, and we haven't seen an awful lot from the Entente. So there's that. Troops, I think at this point can we move into Kirkenes? No, we cannot actually. Are we not at war with Norway? We should be. I mean, they are part of the. Oh no, they're part of the Third International. They're part of the Third International. Yes. Oops, yeah, true. It's Sweden. It's Sweden that's part of the Reichspakt. I got that mixed up. So Finland is actually causing more trouble for us than it's worth at this point. But it's still good to have some divisions here in case things fracture between us and the Third International. But what I might actually do, because at this point I'm starting to slightly distrust Finland, is to deploy a few troops here as well. And we might bring some more divisions in to secure the border to Finland, because if Finland ends up being on the wrong side of things, then Norway is actually on our side. Slight confusion there. All right. So where are we? We're rather thin on troops here, but there is absolutely no enemy forces. So we can take the Suwalki Gap, secure that particular position. But I think right now, most important is that we are rescuing the 49th Infantry, which is we'll give them some fire support from the other side, but I don't think they can manage that just yet. But I think we will try to break through as rapidly as we can to secure a land bridge towards the Brest-Litovsk division that is trying to break out from here, but is now going to have to focus on defense, and that division might actually end up. We will see if we can manage to rescue the embattled defenders in Brest-Litovsk. With all available divisions are being called towards the front lines, but the enemy is now pouring forces into the lines, and is forcing they're reinforcing rapidly here. So I think the 49th is going to end up doing a famous last stand here, because they're rapidly reinforcing the front lines, and the war, I think, is going to become a lot more static from here on out, while we are clearing out still the last remaining positions. So they went a bridge too far, and I think that division might not hold out unless we can manage to push the Germans have started coming in as well. So unless we can push the German infantry division out before yes, we have rescued them. The 49th division has held on in the roads of Brest-Litovsk, being cut off from supply, but the 51st and the 11th have come to the rescue, and we can now fall back from Brest-Litovsk for now and begin stabilizing the front lines, and to ensure that we are not getting cut off that easily. And we do need troops here in the north as well, so that needs to be covered. Okay. All right. We still have open territory, but we at this point are short on troops on our own lines here. So Mariupol is while it is open, we are running a little short here, and I do not want to end up being cut off. So we'll hold this cauldron here for now. We might attempt an attack to these are Polish divisions. They're relatively well equipped, so this might be a hard fight, especially if we're bringing the forces in across the river. But we can try to assault the Polish defenses here, because they're running low on supply. So we'll run a major assault onto the fortified positions from across the river, in order to cut off the enemy positions here, which would free up significant troops in the south that are no longer needed to garrison these positions. So we'll run an all-out offensive here against the Polish defenders in order to shorten the front lines. And I think we almost have the last remaining encircled troops caught up. Now, last refuge of the bandits is complete, which means we should now have the option to invite Afghanistan. So we can either invade Afghanistan or invite Afghanistan. Russia invading Afghanistan is traditionally not a particularly great way of going about things. I think how friendly are we to one? We're not in particularly good terms, and they are autocratic. So I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to wait until these divisions are ready, that we actually have some troops along the lines here before we make any further decisions. And the jewel of anti-colonialism would be the next one, to invite the Indian Federation. However, we do have to keep an eye on the deteriorating situation and at the air situation. We are starting to see, well, it's not much, but we are starting to see significant numbers of enemy aircraft in the area. So it's a 35-day focus. What else do we have here? We're not taking on the Ottomans now. This is all, we already have these. We can, this is progress in the steps. This is a free civilian factory and I think a few economic decisions. But I think I'm going to throw in, we also have the problem of intelligence. So there are many things here that we need. So we will see. Okay, we get it out of the way, and we'll see if we can. Get. If we can get this would expand the lines of the Moscow Accord quite significantly south here, and basically get us to take central. Yeah, I think that would be a good decision. So we'll begin and see if we can. Well, but we do need the troops in the. We do need troops in the regions first before we make these decisions. I'll just. Okay, how long are these troops still going to be in training? 15th of March. Okay, that's still a few ways away. So we don't need to do that yet. Instead, we are going to do King King Polikarov, the king of fighters. Okay, so we'll have to cancel that. We'll do that later, but I need to first see how things are going with Afghanistan. So we're doing King Polikarov, which is going to give us research bonus and an improved aircraft. So given that we can't compete in the numbers, we will have to compete in quality. So that's the next target of that. Okay, the front lines are not yet consolidated, but the Reichspakt has been severely weakened, and we'll clear out the last remnants here. We have a relatively large cauldron here near Vilnius. So let's see if we can shrink that somewhat. And we still have to actually wait for troops to become available along the lines here, while we are holding back against significant assaults here by Austrian troops. So the first battles along the front lines are going to be quite irregular, and winter is now kicking in. So with winter coming in, I think the next step will be, once we have defeated the last remaining Austrians. And Lithuania has capitulated as well. So that is great news. That means we are now technically in control of Lithuanian territory. However, they have been significantly reinforced by German troops that have been rushed over from the French front. And we now have to begin the painful process of frontline reorganization while we are trying to close this gap here. But it is hard going, and despite the fact that because they are relatively well fortified here, despite the fact that we have the numerical superiority. Okay, they've got their supply returned. I think we'll abort this attempt for now, and we will instead focus on. We'll wait until we have additional troops available in the south, rather than trying to force a river crossing. And yeah, we'll need to reorganize the front lines. There's a single Polish division still, but overall, I would say a massive expansion. Phase 2 is complete of Operation Yekaterina. The occupation obviously is going to cause us significant problems in terms of equipment needs. So we'll have to make sure that the garrisons are priority. And we do have available equipment, so it should not be too bad, and we do have the manpower. So we'll have to bring these under control. We'll have to redeploy the air force. We will have to build up the front lines. I think the winter before phase 3 will begin, we will do a winter consolidation work of winter consolidation, where we are going to consolidate the front lines, see if we can push out some of these enemy cauldrons here, and reduce these, potentially take the rest of the United Baltic Duchy, and begin threatening Königsberg in earnest. But we also have to make sure that we're not overextending. We have to build up fortifications, we have to build up radar stations, we have to build up the industry, we have to recoup our losses, and make sure that the troops are well equipped for further operations.